Members, it is about time to get started. We have attained a quorum. Item 1, confirmation of the minutes of the 30th meeting held on June the 21st. Can I take the minutes as confirmed? Thank you. Matters arising, a report on our meeting with the CS, and there is nothing much to report. Business arising from previous council meetings. Legal Service Division report on bill referred to the House in accordance with Rule 54.4. Legal Advisor. Please refer to paper LS 66, Waste Disposal Amendment Bill 2013. The bill seeks to amend the Waste Disposal Ordinance to provide for enhanced control of depositing construction waste on private land. It takes all the owners' consent and also a consent of the Director of Environmental Protection in a specified form before depositing can take place. The panel on environmental affairs was consulted on February 22nd. Members welcome this new arrangement. But in terms of the landowners, there would be another layer of regulation under the law. The Environmental Affairs Panel was consulted and certain concerns were expressed. Chairman, members may wish to set up a Bills Committee to look into the bill. Mr. Ho? Chairman, in terms of land use, the ownership and environmental protection, I think that we do need to look into this. I propose a Bills Committee. Right, Mr. Ho seeks to set up a Bills Committee. Mr. Sin, yeah, agree. Any objection? Any member wishing to join? All right, Legal Service Division report on subsidiary legislation, gazetted on June the 21st and tabled in Council on June the 26th. Legal Advisor, please. Chairman, please refer to paper 65. There is only one item there, and that is LN 110, amendment of the Schedule 3 of the Solicitor's General Costs rules, and this has to do with the photocopying costs for documents. This has to do with the fees and charges, nothing to do with the major policy. But in our scrutiny, we found that there are problems regarding who made the rules. Now, under the law, the rules are supposed to be made by the Cost Committee of the Law Society. It seems that the power has gone to the Council of the Law Society. We have written to the Law Society with our inquiry, and they told us that they are still looking into this. I urge for some indulgence of the committee. Will bring members further up to date. Mr. Kwok, Chairman, I'd like to report to members my discussion with the Law Society. They are looking into this, and they will come up with a reply to us as soon as possible. That it's got nothing to do with whether they agree with the legal advisor, but I'm sure that this is going to be dealt with soon enough. Further business for Council meeting on July 3rd. Dr. N. Jiang has replaced her oral question. Business for Council meeting on July 10th. There are 22 questions, 6 oral and 16 written. Bills, first and second reading. Securities and Futures Amendment Bill 2013. The administration has given notice to present the bill to the Council on July 10th, and the House Committee will consider it at its meeting on July 12th. Bills, resumption of debate and on second reading committee stage and third reading. There are quite a number of them. The first one is Arbitration Amendment Bill 2013. Second, Hong Kong Arts Development Council Amendment Bill 2013. Third, Inland Revenue Amendment Bill 2013. Fourth, Inland Revenue and Stamp Duty Legislation, Alternative Bond Schemes Amendment Bill 2012. And fifth, Supplementary Provision 2012-13 Bill. And sixth, Air Pollution Control Amendment Bill 2013. And there is no objection on our part to for the second reading of those bills. Government motions. 4 proposed resolutions to be moved by the Secretary for Financial Services and Treasury under the Bankruptcy Ordinance and the Companies Ordinance. Legal Advisor. Thank you, Chairman. Will members please refer to LS 64. The 4 proposed resolutions have to do with insolvency and bankruptcy and the fees and charges, and there are adjustments to all these fees and charges. All the details are set out in the paper. If this resolution is endorsed, then they will go into effect on the date to be gazetted. According to the government in 2013-14, they will be able to achieve 100% cost recovery for this particular year if this goes into effect in July. The FA panel was consulted on this. Members did not have any comments regarding the items for which there are downward adjustments. All right. Bill Subcommittee. Mr. Peter Joe. Chairman. I get the feeling that some users might have some comments to make. I would suggest meeting the deputation, so I propose a subcommittee. An objection? Who would like to join? All right, as usual, we have an arrangement agreed with the administration. This resolution will be withdrawn for the subcommittee to scrutinize the resolutions. Next, proposed resolution to be moved by the Secretary for Food and Health under Section 29 of the Pharmacy and Poisons Ordinance. Legal Advisor, please. There are 2 pieces of legislation under the Pharmacy and Poisons Ordinance. There are 2 substances, the names are set out in the paper. The sale, supply, label and storage are subject to certain restrictions. Should this go through, then they go into effect on the date to be gazetted. I've got nothing else to add. Subcommittee. If not, on July 10th, the administration will be introducing this resolution. Members' motions. Mr. Kwan-yuen will move a motion on waste recycling to create job opportunities. And I will be moving a motion on impact of the U.S.'s ending of the QE measures. For amendments, the deadline for giving notice is July 3rd. A list containing 1 item of subsidiary legislation, the period of which, for amendment of which will expire on July 10th, has been tabled at the meeting. If members wish to speak, please let the Secretariat know by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, July 2nd. The Chief Executive's question and answer session on July 11th. It will take place from 9:30 to 11 a.m. Any questions? Ms. Emily Lau. Chairman, will you invite the Chief Executive to tell us how soon consultation will take place on constitutional reform? Now, his officials in his team say things that are so different. I appreciate that there is freedom of speech, but I get the feeling that many feel that we should do it sooner. They talked about May, October, and so on. It is highly confusing. So will the Chief Executive be invited to elaborate on this? All right, I'll reflect this when we meet the CS on Tuesday, but on July 11th there is an opportunity for you. Well, he will be just saying a few words, even if he put questions. I hope that he would tell us in no uncertain terms how soon the consultation will take place on constitutional reform, instead of giving us all these confusing messages. Well, I take it up when we meet the CS. All right. Moving on next to report of Bills committees and subcommittees. Third, report of the subcommittee on subsidiary legislation made under the new companies ordinance. Mr. Wong Ting Kwang. Chairman, we've had 3 meetings to discuss the third batch of 7 pieces of subsidiary legislation under the new companies ordinance, and we scrutinized the details at the committee. The subcommittee notes that as LegCo failed to deal with the extension of the second batch of 2 pieces of subsidiary legislation on April the 24th for the administration to move their amendments before the deadline. Therefore, in this third batch of subsidiary legislation, the administration submitted or tabled the company's revision of financial statements and reports amendment regulation 2013 and company's disclosure of information about the benefits of directors amendment regulation 2013 with relevant amendments. The subcommittee supports those 2 amendment regulations. As regards the company's records, inspection and provision of copies regulation, the subcommittee welcomes the administration's decision to accept our suggestions to change the lead time for submission of company's records from 5 working days to 10. In order to lessen the burden on compliance, the subcommittee also agrees that with the amendments to companies' model articles notice and companies' non-Hong Kong companies regulation, in order to improve the drafting of the regulation and to make sure that the regulation will reflect the policy intent. As regards the company's fees regulation, the subcommittee notes that other than subjecting companies limited by guarantee to an escalating scale for late filing of annual returns, all the other fees and charges are consistent with the current fees and charges in the company's ordinance. The subcommittee supports the 4 regulations. As regards the 7th piece of subsidiary legislation, that is the company's unfair prejudice petitions proceedings rules. They are made by the Chief Judge of the Court of Final Appeal, and they are subject to positive vetting. The subcommittee supports the administration's move to move resolutions for its approval on July the 17th. The subcommittee also scrutinized the 12 pieces of subsidiary legislation regarding the new companies ordinance. In order to complete all the procedures for the subsidiary legislation so that the companies ordinance will be implemented on in the first quarter of 2014, the subcommittee notes that in October 2013, the administration will be introducing the company's ordinance commencement date, Notice 2013, as well as the company's ordinance amendment to Schedule 7, Notice 2013, and company's ordinance amendment to Schedule 10, Notice 2013, to update the schedule and make relevant amendments. The administration proposes that when the three pieces of subsidiary legislation are introduced to the Council, we should continue with our scrutiny to ensure continuity. The subcommittee considered the administration's proposal on the 20th of June, and there was no objection by members. Therefore, the subcommittee recommends that the House Committee consider the administration's proposal. We will be submitting a report in writing. Thank you.
Colleagues, do you accept the proposal? Procedurally, after we've completed the scrutiny of subsidiary legislation, the subcommittee concerned will be terminated. And then we'll have to revisit the new subsidiary legislation. And the same members of the subcommittee can continue to work on the new subsidiary legislation. That's in accordance with our existing practice. Do we need to ask the legal advisor whether that's in line with our rules of procedure? Legal advisor? Secretary General? Mr. Chairman, in the past we did have similar arrangements. After a subcommittee has completed the previous batch of subsidiary legislation under the new company's ordinance, it can be disbanded first, and then we can start another scrutiny round wherein when necessary. That's more appropriate. I'd like to remind members the deadline for giving notice of amendments to the 7 items of subsidiary legislation is the 10th of July. Next, report of the Subcommittee on Tate Scan Tunnel Ordinance Amendment of Schedule Notice 2013. Mr. James Tan, the subcommittee has already completed its scrutiny work. Members noted that under the ordinance, the LegCo can only make minor amendments, technical amendments to the notice and cannot repeal or amend the notice. The subcommittee discussed the rationale of approving the company in increasing the tunnel tolls. It urged the administration to, when considering toll increases, consider the affordability of the public and the impact on traffic and transport. The subcommittee did not suggest any amendments to the notice, and our scrutiny work has already been detailed in the report for members' reference. The subcommittee will not move any amendment to the notice, but if any amendment is to be moved, the notice has to be given by 3rd of July. Report of the Subcommittee on Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Ordinance Amendment of Schedule 2 Notice 2013 and Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Ordinance Amendment to Schedule 3 Notice 2013. Mr. Wong Tian Kwong. Mr. Chairman, the subcommittee completed the scrutiny work on the 2 notices. We basically agreed with the administration in relation to the adjustment to the lowest and highest income level under mandatory contribution provisions. We noted that by adjusting upward, the lowest income level will be reducing the economic burden on low-income employees. This suggestion will be implemented on the 1st of November 2013. As regards the highest income level, the original proposal of the administration was was actually submitted in June 2012, that is to adjust the level from $20,000 to $30,000. At that time, there were different views, so the administration agreed to a phased implementation. That is, first of all, in June 2012, the highest income level should be adjusted upward to $25,000. And after consulting the employers and employees, it's now suggested that from June 2014, the level will be increased to $30,000. The subcommittee will not make any will not propose any amendment to the two notices, and will not object to the government giving notice on the 17th, giving notice to have the two notices discussed on the 17th of July in LegCo. Our detailed report has already been submitted. As the deadline for submitting any amendment will be the 10th of July. Position on bills committees and subcommittees. As at the 27th of June, there are 7 bills committees, 8 subcommittees under HC, and 1 subcom on policy issues, and 2 subcommittees on other businesses. No other business. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.